Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The chairman started out the discussion today talking about the threat to our global standing, both militarily and economically, by China, and I thoroughly agree with that statement. And I think if we look at what we're doing, and I think this is what this committee hearing is about today, is how much funding we are doing to the Chinese government to be able to compete with us on those fronts, whether it's militarily, whether it's economically, with regards to oppressing their own people. Our argument here today is not with the Chinese people, it's with the Chinese Communist Party who is / their government. And I think you can see we've got bipartisan support today for this kind of argument about going after the Chinese government and trying to get a level playing field for our manufacturers and protect us in the future. So along that line, we need to be able to, I think, cut off this financing. How do we do it? We're open to all your ideas. One of the things that we've done is in 2020, Congress passed the Holding Foreign Companies Accountable Act to require foreign companies that wish to be included on the U.S. Stock Exchange to open up their books and ensure that they're properly audited. And basically what's happened is from 2020, there were 1,000 Chinese companies on our stock exchange. As of January the 9th, it's down to 252. My question, though, is that they're required to have an audit every 2 years. Many of our United States companies have to be audited every year. Would you go along with increasing that, or I guess, increasing it to an annual audit on the Chinese companies like you do ours, or is there a reason that we should keep it at 2 years? Who wants to take the question?
So let me first say thank you for Congress's leadership on the Holding Foreign Companies Accountable Act, as well as the Accelerating Foreign Companies Accountable Act. There's no question that China would not have opened up its books and records had Congress not acted. And that was really important to make sure that they're playing by the same rules and that we protect the sanctity of our markets. Now, I do think we need to be vigilant in making sure that we are reviewing them on an annual basis. And my understanding is that that is how the law will be implemented. And it's really important to make sure that the access they provided in December was not just a one-time act to prevent mass delistings, but that we hold them to account.
Well, over a 2-year period, you can play a lot of games. And so I think it's important that we go to an annual audit, and I appreciate your comments. The Chinese government there has also gotten into the digital currency business. And I've got a bill that to prevent money service businesses from conducting transactions in the digital yuan. I don't know if any of you looked at the bill, or you have any concerns at all about American businesses, American individuals investing in that or being able to do business in that? Do you have any comments on it? Nobody? Yes?
Sure, I'm happy to take that. I think the general concern with the digital yuan, digital renminbi in particular, is related to transparency and the question about what type of data or information the Chinese could have access to given widespread implementation and usage of the digital renminbi. And so I think legislation, and I apologize, I've not reviewed that legislation.
Well, it would seem to me that, I'm going to leave that to my good friend, Mr. Hill here, who's the chairman of that digital currency subcommittee. But it would seem to me that the Chinese use it to be able to control and monitor their people. And so why would we want to allow our people to be in that same predicament? This is one of my concerns. I know that a couple of my predecessors here on the dais asked questions with regards to how we should, what we should do, what your actions be, how should we control China with regards to the invasion of Taiwan. And I think we need to be looking at this, I think, very quickly, very, very thoroughly, because just over the weekend, I guess about a week ago now, the leading general for the Air Force indicated that he thought that that China was going to invade Taiwan by 2025. Well, if that's the case, how should we react? I know, I think Mr. Willems, you made a comment a while ago with regards to that. My concern is that when we put sanctions on Russia, I asked the question whenever the Fed and Treasury were here, are you thinking now in terms of what's going to happen, how we should be sanctioning China when that happens, when they invade Taiwan? And it was like a deer in the headlight looks. They had no idea what the hell we're doing, which is really concerning, knowing that this is inevitable. So I think that, Mr. Willems, would you like to go back over that a little bit? Do we have, what would be some things that you think we should do? And I think we need to stress, if these guys are going to invade Taiwan, and we're going to play footsies with everybody because, well, we don't want to upset the apple cart with our allies, we don't want to hurt the Chinese government, the Chinese are going to take us over, they're weaponizing the economy against us today. At some point, we've got to cut bait and say, you know what, you're bad people, we've got to stop playing games with you. What would you say?
So 3 suggestions on Taiwan. I mean, the first is, as you articulated, we need to be thinking now about what a sanctions package should look like. We need to be working with allies to make sure that they'll have resolve as well. And I hope that that's already happening at the NSC. The second thing is, as you mentioned, I do think we need to look at helping Taiwan militarily, making sure that they have those tools. And then third, I also think we need to be helping them economically. And one of the things that I would advocate for is a free trade agreement with Taiwan. Right now, 50% of Taiwan's trade is with China. And that gives China a tool to coerce them economically by cutting that down and shifting that around. And we can't let them be vulnerable in that way.